Welcome to your first flipped video on integer operations. So what we're going to start with today, and not always, but for today we're going to start just with some definitions, so we make sure we're talking about the same thing. When we say integer and operations, integers, a couple ways you can think about it. One is this first part of the definition here. The number, any number with no fractional part. So what that really comes down to is that it's this set of numbers. So you notice the three dots on each end telling you that the set continues in either direction, but it's basically it's negatives, it's positives, it's zero, but all of the numbers that don't have a fractional part. So integers, those are the kinds of numbers we're going to be working with, and operations, a mathematical process. So we know a lot of mathematical processes, and we're going to go through several of them this year, but the ones we're most commonly referring to: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So operations with positive and negative numbers. So starting off with addition and subtraction here, just as reminders, rules for working with addition problems. So same sign meaning both numbers are negative, or same thing if both negatives or both numbers were positive. Just reminders about the shortcuts that you've discussed in the past. It was kind of a two-step process. So for same signs, you would add the numbers together, and then to know whether it was a positive or negative, you would, if they're both negative or they're both positive, you keep the sign of both numbers as your final answer. So either 16 or negative 16. There's lots of models for positive and negative numbers. You have your number lines. You could think about it as a positive number is rising up, and a negative number is moving down. There's lots of different models, but for different signs, you actually want to subtract the two numbers, ignoring their sign. So like 7 and negative 9 here, you'd subtract the numbers, 9 minus 7, and then you keep the sign of the larger number. So the larger number here is the 9, so you would keep the negative. So it's negative 2. So just reminders about the rules for addition. For subtraction, instead of thinking of another set of rules, really what you should be thinking about is changing this to addition. So if you recall from previous experience, if you see a minus and a negative, those two cancel two negatives together. When we talk about doing algebra, you've got to be more comfortable with the idea that a minus sign and a negative are kind of saying the exact same thing. So two negatives make a positive, and here you would change this problem. Instead of 5 minus 12, you change it to 5 plus negative 12. The parentheses is not essential there, but just help you to make sure you know that that's a negative 12 there. So when we are looking at videos, I'm going to do this structure for your math videos, and it's this idea of I'm going to show you how to do a couple problems using an I do, and then you're going to practice the exact same things using a you do. So in the first problem here, it's an addition problem with the same sign. So we add those two numbers together and keep the sign of that both of them have. In the second problem here, it's a subtractions problem, so I'm going to change it. So the saying that some people use for this is keep, change, and change. So keep the first number, change the sign to addition, and change the sign of the second number. That means we have two numbers that have opposite signs, or different signs here. So we have 18 minus 9, and then keep the sign of the bigger one, which is positive, so that's positive 9. Maybe we don't need too much explanation here, but this is kind of how I'll go through problems when you're watching video. And then I'll give you a you-do. So for the you-do here, it's, I would ask you to pause the video, try this on your own, and then watch for the answer so you can check yourself. So if you pause here, and now here are the answers. So -1 plus 9, different signs. Subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the bigger. So that's +8. And -3 minus 18. So we want to keep the number and change this to an addition problem. So that negative sign just goes, or that minus sign goes to the 18. So it's the same sign. So you add the numbers and keep the sign. So -21. So the rules for addition, subtraction, just reminders. And then we want to do the rules for multiplication and division. So the rules for multiplication and division are a little bit simpler because they're the same for both. And it's same signs. If the numbers have the same signs, your answer is always a positive. And if the numbers have different signs, your answer is always a negative. So two negatives or two positives make a positive. A negative and a positive in either order means the answer is negative. So for our I do, we have -8, and I just want to make sure to throw in some different notation in there. Parentheses, a number next to parentheses means the operation here is multiplication, which can be shown as a dot or as an X, but honestly, you're never going to see in algebra a multiplication problem with an X as the multiplication. Why not? Because it looks a lot like the variable X. So hard to distinguish which is which. So we won't ever see the X. But for this one, different signs means answer is a negative. So I would do the problem like normal, 8 and 5, and then figure out that the sign is a negative because you have one of each number. Same thing with the division problem here. We've got a -70 and a +5. So the answer is going to be negative, and then we just need to know what 70 divided by 5 is. So 5 goes into 7. If you think some modified long division here kind of in your head. 5 goes into 7 once. You've got 2 left over. And 5 goes into 24 times, so that's -14. So that was my I do. You watch and kind of learn about the process. In this case, the process wasn't exactly something groundbreaking, but just to learn about the structure of the videos. So now it's your you do. So you pause, you write down the problem, you do it on your own. I probably should have said this earlier, but using these labels that I'm giving you up at the top will just help you organize your notes so that you can find the information later more easily. So pause and try these numbers, or try these problems on your own. And now when you come back here, we've got 2 negatives, so your answer is a positive, and then all you have to do is the actual problem. So 11 times 6, 11 times 6 is 66. Again, positive 66. And a negative divided by a positive here, so our answer is negative, and then -35 divided by 7, or 5 is 7. So just kind of give you the basic structure of a video and practice taking a little bit of notes. From here, this is kind of the structure that you'll see. You'll see some information. You'll get an I do to watch and see what's coming, and then you'll get a you do. So hopefully you've got a little idea of what's coming for you as far as videos go.